Hello, everybody. How's it going? Hey, no rainbow. So I guess the key is not rubbing the camera before I get here. I'm going to close the shades, though, so that there's less light coming in. Oh, how's everybody doing? Today was a better day. I made some money on VMware this week, though I never went on here to pitch the trade, but anyone that follows me on Twitter knew that I put it on. So that was good. It wasn't huge, but money's money. I wanted to do a really quick YouTube to talk a little about Twitter, a little bit about Kohl's, and to discuss my Dana-Goje link, which you could see below in the profile of this YouTube. So I guess I'll do one stock, then Dana-Goje, and then another stock. So why don't we start with Twitter? So I made Twitter bigger than it was last time I was on here. I think it's like a 15% position now. And I like Twitter. I like Twitter a lot. I like it even more after yesterday, but everything I said in the past stands. I did a video on Twitter last week or week before, and you can find it on here on my channel. But what's happened in the last day or so, and then some updated thoughts I have about the risks. So yesterday, Elon changed his financing contract with the company to remove the margin loan from Tesla. He did this because he is sick of the Tesla cult getting angry at Tesla going down as a result of people worried about his margin loan, I guess. He still needs to figure out how to fund the equity that remains. And the only way he can do that is either by selling Tesla or selling SpaceX. Matt Levine, you can Google him. He's the best in the business. It's free. Had an op-ed today on it. It's not the right word, op-ed, but his column. And he hypothesized that Elon realized that you need 5 times as much Tesla stock to maintain that margin loan versus just selling some Tesla stock and raising the capital. The stock went up on that news, but it shouldn't be interpreted that means he's going to close the deal. The main reason why it went up in my mind is that one thing he could have used in court to get out of this would be if Tesla fell so much that he couldn't draw that margin loan because he didn't have the collateral, then he could tell the court that the terms of the financing can't come to fruition. And that would be his way out of the deal because it's part of the debt financing in a sense. Well, now that he just removed it, the bank debt is locked and loaded. There's no way that's going to fall by the wayside. So he has no way out of the deal, basically, is my opinion. If they took him to court for specific performance, even if Tesla was $200, the court would say either you declare bankruptcy and we'll figure out in a restructuring, or sell your Tesla stock, sell your SpaceX stock to fund your commitment. My only concerns with Twitter are twofold. I mentioned the big one last time is I still don't know how it's going to work from a regulatory perspective. I don't know whether a European, I think the UK approval and obviously the FTC, there's no case law that can keep Elon Musk from buying Twitter. Congress hasn't declared Twitter a state landmark, and there's nothing specific about Twitter that makes it unbuyable by a high net worth private equity dick. Sorry, high net worth billionaire dick. I just don't know how to handicap a government figuring out a way to block the deal. The best I got is like 10%, 5 to 10%. They could do it. And it's a real risk. There's no question about it. It's a real risk. I don't think Elon Musk should be able to open Twitter, right? Just because I think that doesn't mean that there's law behind it. The second risk, which I didn't have at all before, but now I have, is if at some point in the future, the company sees such a mass exodus of employees, either because they don't want to work for Elon Musk or they don't know whether they're going to be fired by the time Elon Musk takes over. So they leave for other jobs. At some point, the board might say that the risk of dragging this out, which by the way, it would only be dragged out like 6 months. It wouldn't be dragged out 6 years. So that's a mitigating point to what I'm saying. But the risk of this dragging out and having the company decimated from an employee standpoint isn't worth it. And they let him off the hook for whatever, a few $1 billion. I don't think it would be the $1 billion break fee that we hear so much about. That's not even relevant in this situation. I put that at 5%. So all in, you probably have a 10 to 15% chance of a break, an 80 to 85% chance of it going through. And of that 80, 85, I would say 75% of it at 54.20 and 25% of it in the 50s. So 50, 51, 52, 53, something kind of like that. If the board was going to cut the price, they'd cut it just a couple dollars. And it would be after all the regulatory approvals are in. And he'd have to close immediately after. I think Andrew Walker said something about it in his podcast, which is great. You should go watch it. They did a whole hour on Twitter. It's called yet another podcast, yet another value podcast. Just Google Andrew Walker, yet another podcast. If anyone's watching this, they know about Andrew Walker. And I think that Andrew said that maybe they would make him put $20 billion in escrow today if they were going to cut it today. They're not going to cut the price. It is not going to cut the price. I mean, honestly, nothing's investment advice, as I like to say over, Andrew likes to say too. I know as much as anybody about this, right? But I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm not sure I've ever seen a situation like this. I mean, with Tiffany's and LVMH, you had COVID. You had a huge decline in earnings at Tiffany, even though it wasn't a Mac. And you had LVMH clearly wanting to own Tiffany and it being a rounding error for LVMH. Okay, this is not a rounding error for Elon Musk. I think he still wants to own Twitter. I don't really know if he cares anymore. The guy just does what he wants to do day to day. But the difference between this and that, it's not that this is better than that. First of all, this is a much bigger spread. So LVMH, they asked Andrew that yesterday. I remember really well, or pretty well, I should say. At the worst, Tiffany went to like the low 100s from my memory, 100 to 110, 100 to 105. I don't think it ever got in the 90s. And the deal was for 135. So at the worst, when it hit 100, it was like a 30% spread, if my memory is correct. But for the most part, I think it was like 110, 112, 115 kind of thing. Again, my memory's not great with this. And it ended up, they gave him a cut, and I think it was like 132 from 135. Here, it's a $54 deal, and it's 39. And, you're talking about, 15 on 39, whatever that is, 40% spread or something like that. And to have that kind of spread for something that legally is rock solid. This guy, he tweeted today, just to show you how much full of shit he is. He tweeted how it was very concerning that Twitter had to pay $150 million to the FTC to settle a multi-year investigation. It would be concerning, Elon, if in their 10K this year and probably for the last 3 years, they didn't actually tell you. They told you in the 10K this year that their being sued by the FTC, or there being negotiations to settle with the FTC, and the likely fine will be between 150 and $250 million. So we know Elon didn't do any due diligence, and it's very unlikely he read the 10K, but just the fact he could even tweet how very concerning this is to him when it was in pen and paper or computer type 3 months ago shows that he's just making stuff up. So if you're Elon, you still keep doing this. You keep bashing the stock, bashing Twitter. You do it all the way to the regulatory approvals are had. Maybe you tell them you don't close and you threaten them to file lawsuits to make you close. But that's probably where it ends. I don't think it even gets to discovery. Somebody asked on Andrew Walker's podcast, or someone asked this, but they said there's no downside for Elon to take it all the way to the end. And that's where I disagree. So I do agree there's no downside for him to do what he's doing now. The downside for Elon to take it all to the end is twofold. So the first thing is, if it takes 6 months for a trial, and he's definitely going to lose the trial, then it's 6 months he can't run the company and implement the changes he wants. Freedom of speech, lay off a quarter of the staff, whatever it takes to make a return on this. Okay. And he's got equity investors that might come in with him. And I'm pretty sure they would like him to get started, as opposed to delaying the inevitable 6 months later. So that's the first reason why I don't think if you're Elon, you go all the way to the end with the lawsuit. The second reason why is that hopefully this isn't too annoying. I love this thing. It's a fidget cube you can get on Amazon. The second reason why Elon's not going to go to the end is Elon is a gigantic narcissist, and Elon doesn't like to lose. If he was suing or being sued by like the pedo guy for $20 million or $10 million, $5 million, it doesn't matter, right? But if Elon lost this lawsuit and the courts made him pay $54.20 for Twitter, he just looks dumb. He just looks stupid. So, and he has to pay all of Twitter's legal fees and his legal fees, which whatever, will be tens of millions of dollars. Doesn't matter, of course, in the scheme of things. But I just don't think narcissists like to lose. So the way he saves face is he hopes to get like a 50 cent or $1 or $1.50 price cut. And if not, he'll figure it out. He'll say that Twitter talked to him and convinced him that the spam, DMAUs are similar to what they said they were. And he's excited to own it and cut it to zero. And that would be it. And he didn't lose anything. All he got was tons of attention every day. People are hanging on every tweet he says, and narcissist stream. And he got attention to Twitter, the website he's going to acquire. So maybe he got more users to sign up. There's no downside for him. So yeah, I like Twitter a lot. I don't know how to handicap the thing with the regulatory bodies, but I know it's really small because there's no law that could keep Elon Musk from owning a social media company. There's no antitrust law, that's for sure. What's your process for deciding what investment ideas to work on, especially down market? I find myself confused, distracted by an excess of ideas. I don't really own that much stuff. And in the last few years, it's mostly been event driven. So, and I make things pretty big. So I don't have, 100 positions. I only have like 10 stocks I own. And, 3 of them are huge, right? Magnachip, Blackstone Mineral, and Shell Midstream. Then everything else is much smaller than that. What is a narcissist exactly? I hear that word all the time. It's just someone that kind of loves themselves, in love with themselves, and thinks that they're the top of the world and they've never made a mistake. They could do no wrong. Failure is very embarrassing to them, but they don't ever think they really did fail. So it's really just someone that lives like in a delusional reality with that the world revolves around them. And a lot of very successful people are narcissists. By the way, I hope your portfolio is doing well after BMYRT. Yeah, I've recovered tremendously. Thanks. And BMYOT is not over yet either. I was told yesterday, by the way, that 3 million shares are going to trade or traded at $1.51. So that's pretty cool. Are you surprised? Have thoughts on the VMW spread? I'm not going to put it on. I think that you have an extremely low chance of somebody coming in with a new bid in the go shop period, but it could happen. There's only like a few companies that could buy them, and then they have to pass antitrust. So you can't have like a Microsoft or an Amazon buy them, or Google, right? Cisco could buy them, but I would guess they probably already talked to Cisco. I think the spread's probably a fine place to put your money. It's not really for me. I know what you mean, Richard. You basically take the spread is basically at this price is like, I forgot, this morning it was like 15%, 14%, which is a pretty good return. The odds of it being blocked by regulators is rather low, I think. So if I was looking to park money, maybe I'd be interested in putting that spread on. Hey, Matt, this is a question already random stock, but you know what happened to anything at LQDA? Seems like a buyer-related special statement. So I don't know anything about that. I don't know even, I'd never heard of the ticker before. I might have heard of it once, but I don't know anything about it. Usually people like to say, Richard, that when there's really big deals, it's hard to absorb all the stock in ARB land. So that makes the spreads bigger. In here, half of the stock is in Michael Dell Silverlake's hands. So that's not being ARB'd out, obviously. So you have probably like 30 billion left, and some of that's index funds. So it's probably like a $20 billion nugget for ARBs to absorb. That's not tiny. So, but no, I think it's probably a pretty good spread. All right, let's talk Dana-Goje. Dana-Goje is for those of you, the few that don't know, and I guess if you do know it, then you probably already bought it or don't care, but it's a private label wine company that buys bulk wine, usually premium bulk wine, that other actual wineries can't use, and they bottle it in their own name, and they sell them by lot number, and they sell them by case only usually, but you can also buy individual bottles on their website months later for more money. And I bought probably almost 100 cases at this point since the pandemic started, and the wine's phenomenal. And everybody that's bought it on Twitter and on the Wine Berserkers message board, the vast majority of them love it. I can't speak highly enough about it. Usually the price points are like more like for the Cabernets and more like $15, $20 a bottle. And then, the corresponding value is like $75 to $150 of value. The one I came out today, which is why I wanted to do this, is very non-traditional for them. They don't usually do any European wines. And this is a French Cabernet. And you can see the links below, again, on my profile. But first sign up with my referral link, so you get the $25 off. And then if you buy it, it's $99 minus $25 plus $19 for shipping. You'll basically get a case of wine shipped to your door for like $95 shipped. And like I said, I've never had a bad bottle of wine from them. And he's pitching this as the best value. He's a huge seller. He's a great marketer. He's pitching this as the best value of some wines ever sold. So you can't lose. It's $95 for a case of wine. So if it's not good, you can use it for cooking wine. They'll probably give you your money back if you don't like it. Again, it's $95. So check out the links below in the YouTube profile. I get $25 too. I don't really need it. I think I have like 15 left or 10 left from the last time I did this. So I'm not doing this to make to make money. If I wanted to make money, I probably would figure out another way to pitch stock picks on the internet. But anyway, thank you for your purchase if you do buy. You have to be a first-time purchase to get $25 off. All right, let's talk Kohl's. So Kohl's is sucking me back in. I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but there was an article in Reuters yesterday that said that 3 bidders are going to come back and they're going to bid 10 to 15% below what they were going to bid, and that there's committed financing from a real estate focused lender. Subsequently, someone on CNBC confirmed the story, but then there was Maisie. But then there was somebody that came out later on in the day and said that J.C. Penney, which is like Brookfield and SPG, I think, they're not bidding. And they said they weren't bidding on the last conference call too they were on. So lots to unpack here. You need to first believe that anything's true with the Reuters article. And if it is true, if they get bids in the high 50s or very low 60s, I think it said 62 might have been what someone might bid. Will the board take it when the board hasn't been a willing seller? And I think the board will have to take it. They lied ahead of their annual meeting to keep their jobs when they knew there was going to be two either firings or resignations coming of the five exec members. And the month of April was an absolute abomination, and they didn't disclose that before the meeting. So either the board's going to take these bids at 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, or the stock's going to go to 35, and another activist is going to come in, throw out the whole board next year, and then sell the company next year. And maybe they'll get more than that price because maybe the markets will be better and the consumer will be better and whatever. So is it a big position? No. But I own common, and I put on a variety of 1x2 call spreads. I like October and January, buying the 55s, the 52s, the 57s, selling the 62s, 65s, and 67s, usually with a 750 kind of gap between the two. Pay like $1, $1.20, $1.10 kind of thing. I'm not at all worried about it going too high for me to lose money. Can't really come up with any scenario where it gets sold for more than $65 or $63 or $67. And I also can't see how come October or January, the world's so great and they're not sold that fundamentally it ever goes back up that high. So that's Kohl's. I seem to like to lose money there. And, we'll see. Is lot 82, Richard, the Meritage, the Merlot-based Meritage? It's good. It's not anything super special. I think it was like $15 a bottle. I've had a lot of them. I've had a lot of all of them. What are your thoughts on the DVMT lawsuit, potential outcomes? Jason, that's funny you say that. Ask that. They go to trial in December or November of this year. And it's not super relevant, but now that they just sold VMW for $140, you have to add both dividends to that $140. I think one dividend was like 27 and one was 25. I don't even know. They were big dividends. The dividend when they did the DVMT deal and the dividend when they did the VMW spinoff. So let's say it's $50 of the dividends. That makes it a 190 VMW today versus the 110, I think it was the day the deal closed, 108, 109. It might have been 102. I can't even remember. It was not above 110. It might have been like 102 or 104 DVMT the day the deal closed, which would be the indicative value of how much a DVMT holder got. So if they got 102 and it's worth 190, there's a lot of money between 190 and 102. And who knows? I never thought about this till right now, but maybe Silver Lake and Michael Dell are looking to free up some money to pay a big settlement or prepare to have to pay a lot of money in court. I mean, the judge they have is very sympathetic, and I mean, they could easily award them, I mean, a lot of money. A lot of money. I believe that the DVMT deal, God, it's been so long. It was a $21 billion deal. And like I said, I can't remember if it was 100 or 110. Oh, here we go. I can figure it out right now. It was 83. It was like, I think it was like 100 or something like that. They got 83. You got 83 in cash, 83 in stock, or 120 in cash. And I think, I can't remember how much of the split it was, but if we call it, I don't know, they played 14 billion in cash. Yeah, I can't remember the oh yeah, okay. Sorry. Maybe it was like 105, something like that. Doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter. It was 105 on the closing date, and it's worth 190. And it was a $20 billion deal, or whatever the hell it was. 23 billion dollar deal. I could see the judge slapping a $10 billion fine on Michael Dell and Silver Lake. Stranger things have happened, and they probably did steal it, right? So I had over 100% position in DVMT when it closed, and my account, this is true, was twice the size it is today. Now, a lot of that's because I pulled out a lot of taxes and all sorts of stuff. So I'm not down 50% from then. But to be clear, it would be extremely material for me if I got a bump on the close of the from the close of the DVMT deal. So I'll be watching that eagerly. The trial will be the end of this year. Thoughts on a risk reversal position at the 30-40 on Twitter versus a bull spread. So I don't like that because I don't, I don't have a very strong view on what the break price is with Twitter. I haven't sold any puts on it. The only option trade that I liked where I saw some inefficiency, I think I said it last time, was the 45, 50, 24 spread, bull spread. I was paying like $1.90 to $2 for those. And I figured it went to 50 cents on a break. So I put up $1.50 to make $3. And that was just phenomenal. That seems phenomenal to me in the situation. And I could cap it, the risk, as opposed to not knowing where the break price is going to be with common. I don't think there's any reason to be cute with the risk reversal. Personally, I just want to own common on Twitter. Something interesting about a magnet chip that I thought of today, or I think it's interesting. Right now in Korea, it's like 6 a.m, I think. Let's see. Yeah, it's 6 a.m. right now in Korea. And when Wise Road bought Magnachip and when they sold the foundry a year earlier, they're both private equity firms. So it doesn't matter when they release the news. They could do it for Americans on U.S. time. And they released the news at 8:30 in the morning Eastern. If LX buys Magnachip, LX is a public company, and so is LX Semi. It's two public companies. And they're certainly going to do a conference call to talk about the deal. Magnachip is not going to do a conference call to talk about how they sold themselves. I think it's much more likely that they would announce the merger at night, New York time, so that it's announced pre-market Korea time. And then they can do the conference call. I'm basing that on nothing. So, but it basically means I think that, when you're in this window after the market closes, the next 5 hours, 4 hours, I guess it'd be the next 3 hours, 2 hours. I guess you could see a merger deal. Now, again, basing this on nothing. Also, they might not sell to LX. They might sell to one of the private equity firms that are bidding for them, or the US company that was bidding for them. I don't think that'll happen. And then you wouldn't have that. It would probably come in the morning. Anyway, something to chew on. I think that's pretty much it. Still waiting on SHLX. That can come at any time. AXSM is nuts. I have no idea what's going on there. I'm completely out of that. I have no idea why they haven't started labeling yet. I still think it gets approved. If I had to bet, I would say 70%, 75% chance it's approved based on they told us they cured the deficiencies and they have post-marketing agreement on what they need to run. And none of that makes any sense if you are getting a CRL. But I think we're 6 weeks post the deficiencies being cured, and there's no labeling. They have not entered labeling. I mean, I suppose we could wake up one day to it just being approved, but the company's been pretty clear that they think that's not likely, that they're likely to enter labeling discussions first, and that they're going to tell us at the enter labeling discussions. So I have no idea what's going on there. What a headache. I had a small position in Groupon, I think I told you guys, in a family account, and I sold that out today. So I'm out of Groupon forever, but that wasn't in my account. That was in, I call it a family account. It's my dad's and my mom's. I run it a little bit differently, but I put this shit in there, right? But anyway, that stock's up huge the last 2 days because the activist keeps buying. The activist owns like 15% of the company now. So I don't know what their game plan is. Maybe they make a bid for the company. I don't really care. So long, Groupon. One thing that I told you I bought and I still like is MYOV, which got a major amendment, and they're partnering with Pfizer. And I think that drug will get approved. And I think that it's a good possibility that it gets sold to Pfizer after a drug's approved at some point, because the parent company, a Japanese company, is pretty indebted, and I think that they could use the cash. And it's not very economical for them sitting here with this partnership with Pfizer. This company's bleeding all sorts of money. So I like that. I think that's it, guys. I think we're good. Anything else? I hope I can be on here with some champagne soon. That's the goal. I want to spritz my laptop with Dana-Goje champagne. I do have a Dana-Goje champagne, which is what I'll open if this happens. All right. Peace, everybody. Hope you guys made some money today. Hope you sell Magnachip soon. Take care. Bye.